started. Thanks for coming to the Speak Out meeting. This is our second meeting. Everybody else here for the second meeting? Today, Aaron and I will be talking about social anxiety and how to reduce it by building social skills. First, some reminders for the club aspect. The food drive is going on right now. It ends on November 14th. It is a school-wide food drive. It's to support the food bank here. It's now called the Care Center, but it's a food bank. It's a student-only food bank. Only students can use it. And so it supports the community here at SCC. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there walking the halls that can't afford their next meal and they're hungry. So it's also a club competition, and since we're the best club, we're going to beat everybody. And I just wanted to show you guys that the Speak Out leadership is behind the food drive, and we all brought our cans of food today. Just wanted to show you that we're not just up here preaching to you guys, hey, throw food in the barrels. We believe in it too, and we support it. Danny, she also contributed, but I threw her food in there for her. So the leadership is behind it. We'd like you guys to be behind it too. The bin for our club is up outside of Linda and Amy's room. What's your room number, Linda?
239.
239. Everybody here pretty much knows where it's at. If you don't, I can tell you. Find me after the meeting. Next topic is the Family Fun Night. It's coming up on October 29th. It's next Wednesday. It's put on by ASG, our wonderful leadership. They're our leadership of the clubs. And if you have children, there's going to be hay rides, face painting, bouncy castles. All the clubs are going to be putting together a table. Some of the clubs are going to be putting tables and doing events for your children. So maybe you work on October 31st and you can't take your kids Halloween candy door to door. Bring your kids to Family Fun Night on the 29th. It's for you. So that's that. And it's free. It's free and it's a costume contest. So dress up. It's totally Halloween themed. Our fall conference, I believe we are 6 class days away from the conference. So class days. So we still kind of have a week and a half.
Just say that out loud.
We need volunteers on Canvas. Some of you already signed up today. I appreciate that. Thank you. On Canvas, I'll be posting a sign-up sheet. There will be 2 days to sign up. One will be the day before, which will be set up from 12 to 4 p.m. And the next day will be the actual conference. That we need people from about 6:30 to 11:30. Any hour between that time. Like if you can only come for an hour, it helps us and we appreciate it. So you don't have to come for the whole time. An hour really helps us out. So if you have an hour break in there, that would be awesome. Our next meeting, we are going to be changing location. Our next meeting is going to, so you all already know, it's going to be on relationships. So we want you to bring your spouses, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, and we think we're going to need a bigger space. So it's going to be over in the Sasquatch room, over in the lair. That'll be on November 13th. So just so you, a heads up, we're changing meeting locations for the next meeting. All right. Question?
Just to verify, the next meeting's on the 13th, not the 6th, which is 2 weeks, but because of the conference?
It's not because of the conference. It's actually our normal meeting time. The meetings are always the 2nd and the 4th Thursdays of the month. So it's actually the 2nd Thursday.
Got it.
Yep. So, all right. The presentation today is a one that I hold near and dear to my heart. Social anxiety kind of gets all of us at some point. For public speaking or for going to a party or going to some big social event, getting involved in the community. It's all social and it's all kind of nerve-wracking a little bit. Mark Twain famously said there are 2 types of speakers: those who get nervous and those who are liars. You can probably hear it in my voice. There's still a little bit of nervousness, even though I've done this presentation before in front of some of you guys. The only thing that makes it easier is the familiar faces and the sea of black shirts that I see. So the reason why this presentation is close to me is because, I got a little social anxiety. Some of you already know the story. Last winter, or last fall, I wanted to come to a Speak Out meeting because I have loved the concept of communications and improving communications and my skills in that area for 10 years. Since I was like in high school is when I first started working on it. And so I saw the Speak Out announcement and I was like, okay, that's something that's down my lane. I want to go check that out. Well, I came and I was like a little late or something. Everybody was already up here talking and loud, and the nervousness kicked in, and I was like, I think it was the second meeting of the course. So my catastrophic thoughts kicked in, and they probably already know each other. They already have friends. They already have little groups, and they're conversing with each other. And I'm going to be the outsider that's going to have to like work my way into the group, which I dread. So I choked. I didn't end up going to that meeting, and it took me a quarter to build up the confidence to come to the first meeting of that winter quarter. So that's why I have some credentials to talk to you about social anxiety. I'm not just up here preaching. I get it, and yeah.
Everyone else does too.
So, the social anxiety part, I'm going to talk about self-image, self-ideal, and self-esteem, and how it relates to anxiety. So I'm going to be going, and then I'm going to tie it in. So if you want to take notes, this is like 3 or 4 books and several years worth of research that I've done and just personal experience. So feel free. Self-image is it's your image of yourself, how you view yourself. It can be positive. You can think, hey, I'm a great guy. I'm great when I go to parties. Or it can be negative. It can be berated by the negative self-talk, which is what the author Don Simmermacher calls the enemy within. And everybody knows that little voice in the back of your head that's saying, it's raining today and my hair's frizzy, and everybody's looking at how frizzy my hair is. And everybody knows the negative self-talk. I'm too fat, or I need to go to the gym more, or nobody notices me, boys don't notice me, girls don't notice me. Your self-image, it continually renews as you go through life. It, every different experience either adds to your self-image or takes away from your self-image. Some of us have had a real rough track on that self-image highway. But self-image is the foundation of our personality. How we view ourselves is how we project ourselves. So self-image can be affected by our experiences in life. It can also be affected by the people that we keep close to us and keep around us. So everybody knows those people that are always finding the negative in a situation, always talking down, always, oh God, it's raining today. Oh God, class sucks. I hate going to class. Math sucks. So my first tip would be to avoid those, I like to call them negative Nancy's or Debbie Downers. If you have them in your life, if they're saying, hey, Jeremy, you're looking fat today. Shirts. That's what you need to tell them. You tell them it's the shirts, and then you need to remove those people from your life, because those aren't the people to keep around. Let them go be negative in their own little hole, and so remove them from your life. And with the self-image, if you're constantly looking down on yourself, try to change your outlook, change your in-look as well, because if you can change your thoughts, you can change your life. That's what our conference coming up is all about, and I won't go into the conference because that'll get me off on a tangent. The self-ideal is a set of blueprints for yourself. It's what you would like to be, it's what you would aspire to be, both internally and externally, how you want to be you know, if you want to get promoted, or if you want to get good grades in school, if you think of yourself as a good student, or if you think of yourself as a bad student, if you think of yourself as smart, or if you think of yourself as dumb. I just can't understand math. I don't know what it is. I just can't understand math. Or math is fun. It's internal and external. When you construct your self-ideal effectively, it's a set of blueprints for growth. When you do it poorly, it's a setup for failure. So with self-ideal, you need some introspection. You need to look inside yourself, and you need to be real with yourself. And you need to develop a realistic self-ideal. I'm never going to be a bodybuilder, and I understand that. Some people, so turn that around, I'm never going to be 50 pounds skinnier than I am. I'm never going to be probably 30 pounds skinnier than I am. I might not even ever be 20 pounds skinnier than I am. I don't know. They keep going up as I get older. I don't know, it's not going down. But, so, you need to, the realistic self-ideal is kind of like being happy with yourself and being real with who you are. I'm a full-time student and I get smoking good grades. I don't have time to get to the gym. So like having a self-ideal of myself that I need to be skinnier or stronger or buffer, that the media just pours into us and tells us how we have to be. If I, through introspection and looking in on myself, change that self-ideal to, hey, I'm actually kind of happy with myself. I get really good grades and I have a great time in school. I got a good social group and I got a great club. So focus on your self-ideal and be realistic about it. So up there I got introvert. I'm an introvert, but let's clear some confusion on introversion versus extroversion. Introversion does not mean shy. It does not mean timid or afraid to go to parties or any of that stuff. What introversion means is you prefer to recharge your batteries by yourself, alone, like read the book or watch TV, having no distractions, being in the library doing your homework, or so you prefer to be by yourself. Where extroversion, you prefer to be around people, and that's how you recharge your batteries. I don't understand it, but you guys get your batteries recharged by people. So introversion does not equal shy. So having a realistic self-ideal, if you say, if I'm an introvert, so I don't like going to parties, that's you're tricking yourself, and you're finding an excuse you're being unrealistic with yourself. So if you need to change the verbiage a little bit to help you see outside that introversion does not equal shyness, start calling yourself an extroverted introvert or an extrovert in training. It's a much better way to look at it than I'm an introvert, because if you walk into a room and you say I'm an introvert, the tendency will be is, well, that's who I am. I don't have to go talk to people because I'm an introvert. I'm just going to sit in the back and not make friends and be by myself. You're not going to get outside your box. So the whole point of this presentation is to decrease anxiety, build social skills. So stop with the confusion on introversion. Maybe I'll start calling myself a bodybuilder in training. I don't know. So I talked about self-image and self-ideal. The gap between those two things is what it directly contributes to your self-esteem. And so when that gap is extremely large, it is unrealistic and you'll have low self-esteem. When the gap is closer together, you'll be more proud of yourself, more happy with who you are when that gap is narrower. So my whole thesis on this presentation is self-image and self-ideal. If there's a large gap, you'll have low self-esteem and you'll have high anxiety. If you can bring that gap together, if you can bridge that gap, you'll increase your self-esteem and lower your anxiety when you're in social situations. So the self-image, the self-ideal, it requires introspection and it requires getting realistic with yourself. And so we're here to bridge the gap. Some tips on bridging the gap. if you're going to an interview, if you're going to a presentation, if you're going to a Speak Out Club meeting, prepare for it. You would prepare for an interview like you prepare for a test. Prepare for a social event. Find out who's going to be there, or remember who's going to be there. Remember the faces that you see here. Remember names. Remember when you get done from this meeting talking with people and getting to know people, take notes afterwards so that you can remember for next meeting what people like to talk about, who they are, what their name is. So prepare for the meetings, prepare for the social events, prepare for parties. You can flip around being scared or being anxious about something by just reframing it in your mind. Say, I'm not afraid to get up here and talk in front of all you guys. I'm excited. This weird feeling I got in my stomach, that's not butterflies, that's excitement. I'm excited to go do this. One thing I heard about is called the snap band, and it's little rubber bands, and we're all going to get some. So the snap band is for the negative thoughts that cloud our minds. Put this around your wrist, and when the negative thoughts start coming in, snap them out. Snap out of it. Snap your wrist. So some people, they might need 3 rubber bands instead of just 1. But when you got the negative thoughts like, oh, I'm going to get up in front of the Speak Out Club and I'm going to just do a horrible presentation, snap out of it. And so I brought you those rubber bands. I hope you get good use out of them and stop the negative thoughts from flooding your mind. Another thing is, I learned this from a TED Talk by Amy Cuddy, it's called power posing. A lot of you probably already heard of it. I know the teachers around SEC, they all showed it in their classes. But power posing, it's this lady, is a Harvard professor. She did research on students, and she had them go into a room, and she had them sit in a closed position, like just kind of like a protective kind of position, or just like slumped over, like sitting in a chair and slumped over, and head down. And she had another group of students sit in like big positions and like powerful positions, and like this is called the Wonder Woman or the Superman. And you could be like this, or you could be like this, or just sitting back and relaxed and just kicked up and open. So, and what she found is she gave both groups of students a test after they did that for 2 minutes, sitting in either the closed pose or the large pose. And the students who did the test, they did the large pose, scored better, had better scores across the board on this test than the students who did this. So she said, that's kind of interesting. So she decided to test their blood. With the students that stood in the big positions, they had increased levels of testosterone and lower levels of cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So not only did the test confirm it, but the actual blood, the science behind it, confirmed that it's something as simple as standing like this for 2 minutes before something that's kind of nerve-wracking, like an interview or going to a club meeting or something. It actually changed people's physiology and helped them deal better with the stress of it. So that TED Talk I will post on Canvas later for anybody who's interested in seeing it. It's Amy Cuddy. And a last tip, another tip is just smile. When you smile, people smile back, usually, unless they're having a horrible day. Even he smiled. I got a little grin out of him. Really smiling, it really does change. It's another thing that changes your physiology. So smiling is huge. With tips for the introspection and looking in on what causes your anxiety, look back to life events like, high school, child events, or when you're growing up, or whatever, maybe something happened last week. Determine what life events have contributed to your self-image and what you think about yourself. Work on developing a realistic self-ideal. A really big one is make small, measurable goals. I can't say I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to start bench pressing 300 pounds because it's never going to happen, and it would be unrealistic. If I made a small goal of I'm going to go to the gym, period, that's much more small, it's much more measurable, it gives you quicker feedback, and it makes you more likely to repeat it and do it again. And a really important one I just learned recently is don't reject yourself before others even get the chance to. You don't know if they're going to reject you. So stop having those negative thoughts, those catastrophic thoughts like I had down at the bottom of the stairs. Don't reject yourself before other people get the chance, because they're probably not going to reject you. When you're working on yourself, don't focus on the negative. Don't focus on everything that's bad about yourself, because you're gonna be unhappy, and you're gonna have a list of things that you could fix. My list is a mile long, but I only look at this much. Partly because I'm an optimist, and partly because I know stuff like this. If you focus on your weaknesses, weaknesses are stuff that you're not good at already. So if you try and work on stuff that you're not good at, and you try and work on it all at once, and you're already not good at it, it's going to be extremely tough to get better at it and get better at all of it. If you focus on if you pour your energy into your strengths, you will get better at your strengths because you're already good at that stuff, and you'll be happier with yourself because you'll see improvement quicker. So focus your time on your strengths, not on your weaknesses. Don't get into the negative trap of just only working on your weaknesses. So Aaron is here to talk to you all. He's going to take over the social skills portion. He is pretty good at social skills. He has had formal training in social skills. He happens to be a used car salesman. And all summer long, when I was in math class with him, he had homework for math class, and he had homework from his job because they were training him on social skills. So he knows a little something about something. And thanks for giving me your attention.
All right. My name is Aaron. Like Matt said, I'm extrovert in training, just like Matt. And how I got into car sales is I thought it would be an exciting adventure because I've always worked in manufacturing, and I can go all day without talking to anyone. And so I thought, well, this would be a good experience and a challenge to be faced with someone new every day and see if I can understand their needs and then maybe find them the right car or something like that. So that's my background in talking to people, and I'm going to be super nervous too. And I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. And so when you go to a social gathering, the first step is to have any good interaction with anyone. You have to be genuinely interested in understanding them or finding something out about them, or it's not going to go anywhere. If you don't have that, then why are you talking to people? When you do talk to people, smile, like Matt said. People smile back. It's friendly, it's welcoming, it's opening. Remember the person's name is probably the number one thing you can do after you make first contact. If I come up to Matt and I'm like, hi, what's your name? Matt? Oh, cool. Talk to him. Come back the next day. He's not going to feel important. He's going to feel like that engagement was totally void. It's not going to have the impact of he's going to want to talk to you again. And so that's not going to help your social skills in later life. Be a good listener, and that's active and non-active, or verbal and non-verbal listening. So people are already doing it. They're nodding their head and like if you're talking and you're having a conversation, smiling, asking questions is a big one. That shows that you are paying attention. That shows that you are interested, and you're speaking in their terms and their language. Where if I talk to someone about sports, which I know how to play sports, but I don't know anything about sports, like professional baseball and stats. But if I'm talking to someone and that's their passion, ask open-ended questions like, this is my favorite team. Okay, why is your favorite team? Was it your family members? Is it where you grew up from? Don't ask closed-ended questions like, do you play baseball? Yeah. But that's not going to lead you anywhere in the road of conversation. That makes them feel important when you're asking open-ended questions, because you're your expert on yourself, and people like to talk about themselves. I mean, no one knows more about you than you, and so when you actually do get to express that to other people, it's relieving. You feel important. Don't criticize someone. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You can have a difference of opinion, but you got to be very careful about how you go about objecting to it, I should say. You can respectfully decline, stuff like that, but don't take it personal. If like politics are a hard one to talk about with anyone, religion is really hard to talk about with anyone, abortion, stuff like that. Sensitive subjects, you have to tread lightly, but it's good to practice. I mean, maybe practice with your family, get a good debate instead of having such a harsh defensiveness on it. Say, oh, I don't agree with that, so I'm not going to talk with you. You have to have an open mind about stuff like that. And then give honest and sincere appreciation. Acknowledge that you value their opinion or their thoughts on the topic. Nothing's worse than someone tells you and you just shut them out and you're like, well, I'm not going to open up to that person anymore again. It closes you up too, and you're just back to square one, and even maybe a step further back, you build a wall up, and that doesn't help anyone.
I wanted to interject real quick with those 8 tips that were just on that last slide. I got those from Dale Carnegie's book. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it's an excellent book. But it's an interesting thing about that book is it's been around since 1936. That's when Dale Carnegie first wrote it. So these tips, these simple tips about how to be more effective in social gatherings and with people have been around. They are simple. Humans, we haven't changed much in the last 80 years. We still like to hear our name. We still like to see a smile. And we still like to feel validated and like somebody's actually hearing us and like interested in us. So those tips have been around since 1936. They're big. So yeah.
And another part of those tips, which I don't think it was up there, is undivided attention is a big one. Nothing's worse than this. Yeah. Like, do you feel like you're important at that point? All their attention's on their screen. It's not conducive whatsoever. So with these other ones, we already talked about questions, ask follow-up questions. That's discovery questions. Like, oh, this is your favorite thing. Why is it your favorite thing? And then you can relate to it. That gives you something to open up about yourself. But you don't steer the conversation towards you. You wait until they ask you. Like, oh yeah, that's my favorite color too. You know, stuff like that. That reaffirms that you are paying attention and you are connecting with the person. Smile. That has to be in there. That's in there like 3 times.
Because
It's a good life skill. Just smiling is good. It makes you feel better. It takes more muscles to frown than smile. Eye contact, we talked about that. Nodding, just little antidotes where people are like, okay, you are paying attention. You're not staring at my forehead right here and just like zoning out about what you want to eat for lunch or something like that. And then we talked about dealing with difference of opinion, tact versus defensiveness. As soon as you go on the defense of an opinion, people shut down and anger gets into it, and no one acts rationally when they're angry. They don't talk rationally when they're angry. You can't go anywhere. It's just a traffic jam.
defensiveness breeds defensiveness. It's a cycle, and if you get defensive, the other person is going to get defensive back. And the cycle feeds on itself until.
It's just fueling the fire.
Yep.
So, if you are talking with someone, here's some tips and tricks on how to change the subject. Maybe if you feel like it's starting to stagnate, or maybe you are starting to get a rift in it. One thing is lead into it with a segue. Like, oh, you like baseball? That reminds me when I was a kid I did this, and then lead into like something else that when I was a kid I did that. Did you do that? And you can lead into it that way instead of just stopping the topic like, oh, I'm done with this. Let's talk about this. That will make them feel invalidated. That will totally kill the mood, and you'll be back to square one. Another tip that we found out yesterday is a pit stop, which is actually a clever way of doing it. An FBI agent where he was undercover, and people would start asking him too many questions, and he thought he might spill the beans. He'd be like, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. And that break and going to the bathroom and coming back, their mind was off the topic, and you can come back to a new subject. So that's a very low-key, innovative way of saying, I'm done talking about this. When I come back and talk about it, we can start off with something else fresh. And then if that doesn't work, if all else fails, you have the last resort is, I don't want to talk about this anymore. But that's about the nicest way you can say, like, you know what, I don't know anything about this, I don't have an opinion about this, I don't want to talk about this. I'm not trying to make you angry or anything like that.
when politics comes up in conversation, sometimes everybody knows those people that they love to talk about it. One of the things I like to do with changing the subject is I like to say, hey, you know, I'm in school right now and all my time is spent in the books and I don't have time to like actually research these political hot topics and formulate an educated opinion on one side or the other. So you know what, I have no opinion. So I'll listen to what you have to tell me, but I have no opinion to give because I'm not educated enough on the subject. So it's one of my favorite ways to get out of the politics question. I hate when that comes up.
Avoid that one like a plague. And Matt talked briefly about develop a plan with, it's just saying like studying for your homework or a test or something like that. If you are going to a gathering with your significant other or maybe a birthday party, do find out who's going there, find out what their interests are. So you have something, instead of walking in blindly and trying to catch on to conversations through hearsay, and you can come in like, oh, I heard you're interested in this. Like, I know a little bit about that, and you can connect right there. And then next time you see him, that you're in with that friend, you're like, oh, your name is Josh, and we met, and you remember that one time we talked about this. That's going to decrease your anxiety because you know someone's there, you know something about them, and you're going to build your web of friends that way too, or acquaintances. Now, the open-ended questions is, we're going to be using this in a workshop. Pow Wow, Carson, he was one of the presidents last quarter. He was a counselor at a summer camp. Yeah. And so he learned this where they did a powwow, and this is a great exercise for your family or your friends where you have one negative thing, that's the pow about your day, and then you have one positive thing, which is the wow of your day. So it gives you something. You always start with the pow. You start with the negative, you get it out, you get it off your chest, and then you finish on a positive note with something that's really good about your day. And we're going to be doing that later in our workshop. And these open-ended questions, do people know what a closed-ended question is? Like,
It's usually a yes or no question.
right. It's a one word, a short answer, and we want to steer clear from those. You're not going to learn anything about anyone if is your favorite color blue? Okay, now I know it's not blue. It's your favorite color green. Okay, it's green. Well, I got lucky. But if you go, what is your favorite color? Green, and then you lead into open-ended questions that way. It builds the conversation and builds relationships better that way. And so these are 5 just starter ones. I mean, they're limitless. Just rearrange them and stuff like that. But if you really want to build your social skills, try to learn about someone else that you're talking to. Be genuinely interested in what they have to say. Don't take it for granted, and don't have a prediction of what they're going to say. Don't ask a question and expect an answer. These are the resources that Matt pulled from to give you some of the topic heads. If you want to, you're going to put these up on Canvas.
It'll be on Canvas.
So if you do want to research any of these, you can pull these books up. They're all great books.
The most important one's down at the bottom.
You will put that up there then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Could probably put that one first.
And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our workshop to practice our new skills that we've learned about.
Okay, so we're gonna.
Before you do that, I have a comment.
Okay, comment from
As
Linda.
somebody who grades and evaluates public speaking, this was as good as almost anything you'll find on this campus from a professor who does this for a living. What the two of you just did, it was incredible. Thank you.
I want to comment on that too. That was a great presentation, and from what I took out of all of it is basically.
This is Jeremy Dillon. He's the ASG Vice President.
But that was a great presentation once again. But what I took from that, and I think everybody should look at this when it comes to anxiety, go into a situation from what you guys said is go in to be less interesting and be more interested. By doing that, it'll calm your nerves, and it'll really do exactly what everything you guys just said. So if people think like that, they'll always be a step ahead.
Like that. So we are going to start with some power poses because we're about to go do a group activity. It's a little nerve-wracking. You're gonna get to know somebody pretty well. So get big. You're gonna do it. You can do this guy. Power pose. Power pose.
Power pose. Whatever
Get
power
big.
pose you want.
You have to be in the front.
Didn't do any superhero. So many activities. Yeah.
Don't hurt yourself.
Oh, make yourself big. Whoever your favorite superhero is, mimic that.
Who's my favorite superhero? Iron Man. What's Iron Man do?
Yeah. Captain Morgan. There we go.
Spider-Man.
20 more seconds. Keep it big.
Can we do judo chops?
Yeah, sure.
Whatever makes you feel good. You don't want to be tight. You don't want to be